record. There it is, right there.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone now.
See that?
20 seconds, it's gone.
Lose, you lose.
Okay, good evening, folks. It's, as you well know, it's April 21st, and this is our regular Tuesday meeting. And so I would ask the board for a motion on the minutes from last week's meeting.
Move to accept as printed.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So done. We have with us tonight, we're fortunate to have with us tonight, the head of our Planning and Community Development, John Charbonneau. John, please take the podium.
Good evening. It's just my normal monthly department head report for the planning department. Reports in front of you have a quick synopsis of the items I'll talk about. The Shell gas station public hearing is underway for the property at the corner of Route 44 South Street West on behalf of the Cobea Group, who's bringing the project forward to reactivate that property as a gas station / convenience store. The initial meeting was on April 2nd. It was continued to May 7th because coming out of the first public hearing, the planning board had some additional information. Since then, we've received a report back from Niche Engineering, the peer consulting engineers. So they asked for a continuance to May 7th to be able to address those comments, but the public hearing seems to be going fairly smoothly. I'm proud to say that Hutch Motorsports was approved at the meeting on April 2nd, and at the meeting last Thursday night, April 16th, the certificate of action was endorsed by the planning board. Therefore, Mr. Hutchins can seek some preliminary permits to begin site activity at his own risk, pending the 20-day mandatory appeal period with the town clerk. Bassett Knoll Estates has received preliminary approval by the planning board at their last meeting. We went over certificates of action for the subdivision and the special permits for phasing and also for a cluster development. And as the selectmen know, as part of that process, the applicant has caught up on all back taxes owed on the property, which is good news for the town, and the planning board also is receiving mitigation for improvements to Locust Street as part of that project. And that will be added to funding received from other projects such as Whippoorwill Estates that will be dedicated to improvements on Locust Street. I know that the highway superintendent has said that he would be willing to contribute some Chapter 90 funding over the next couple of years to add to that amount. So it's a tricky thing as far as timing of the improvements on Locust Street, because although everyone would love to see Locust Street improved immediately, the fact is, with a 70-lot subdivision going in, you don't want to put improvements to the roadway too soon, because then you have heavy equipment coming in and developing the subdivision, so you don't want a new road torn up by heavy equipment. So the timing of that is going to be worked out between the developer and the planning board and the highway director to see exactly when those improvements are implemented. Another positive thing that the selectmen may not know about is as part of a cluster subdivision, the applicant has the option to either, out of every 10 lots in such a development, under an open space preservation design, 1 out of every 10 lots is either dedicated as an affordable housing unit, or a donation is made in lieu of that to the housing authority at the rate of $50,000 per lot. Therefore, in a couple different segments, the applicant has chosen to do to give the donation to the housing authority. And in talking to the housing authority director, there are existing units that could really use quite a bit of work. So in being in communication with her as this public hearing has gone forward, I think she'll be very pleased to receive that funding so she could do some necessary maintenance, modernization to the units we already have. So even though we won't be receiving single-family affordable units as part of this project, the Housing Authority will be receiving $300,000 by the beginning of Phase 2 of this project that they can use towards maintaining existing units.
That's a good sum of money. What are they going to, 4 homes? 4?
They would have 4 homes?
6 homes. 6 single-family homes. So our bylaw, I forget what year was passed, but the town added the provision that they could do the donation of $50,000 per lot to the housing authority in lieu of that, so they've chosen to do that. So even though we don't get 6 affordable single-family homes, in talking to Karen Riley, she really expressed to me that the housing authority would be more than happy to get the donation in lieu of that, so they could turn around, because in essence, they have existing units that really need to be updated. They don't have the money, so this $300,000 is really gonna go a long way for them. So that's
And if
fantastic.
they don't use it for that, they can save it and.
They can.
Because they're contemplating more units up there.
Exactly.
If they can possibly get enough money to put together.
Exactly. So it's a good sum of money for them to do
Yep.
some things they need to do, so.
I think it's fantastic news.
Yep.
I really do.
Tell me how that money is given to them. Is it directly from the contractor?
Yes,
Or is it
yeah,
through the
the way the
planning
bylaw
board?
is written, it mentions the applicant and the housing authority. I don't think it has to go through the planning board or the board of selectmen. I think it can go
Just
directly to the
direct.
housing authority. So I'll make sure of that, but I think that's the way, I think there's a
Yep.
direct line there where they can just give a donation to the housing authority, and as
Based
long as
on the
we get
bylaw.
evidence that they received it, I
Mm-hmm.
think we obviously ask that, because that's a condition of their approval, is make sure that the planning board gets verification that that money is given to them.
Exactly, that's my point.
No other
No,
comment.
just good news, I agree
It's-
with the
I
board.
think it's great news.
Yeah,
I
and
really
again,
do.
in our discussions about back taxes and mitigation of Locust Street, that kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I don't think people realize that that's also going to be
That's
a result of
equally
this
good
project.
news,
Good job.
John. Yep.
And the last thing is just, the public hearings were held for the zoning bylaw amendments, coming before town meeting on May 18th. It was held last Thursday. We got 3 of them: an amendment to the language describing FEMA's flood insurance rate maps, as well as designated flood zones. And during the public hearing, I mentioned that I have information from the Mass Department of Conservation and Recreation, as well as FEMA. If anyone has questions or thinks their property may be affected, please contact my office. And I'm going to have copies of an email that I received from Colleen Bailey with the state that she gave me permission to hand out with her contact information that will be available at town meeting for anybody who has any questions. It has important links, has the phone number directly to FEMA. It has Colleen Bailey's contact information with the state. People can email her. So really, all the town is doing is voting on the geographical accuracy of these flood maps. How they affect individual properties is really not a town issue. It's an issue for individual property owners and FEMA and their mortgage companies. So really, the town's role is just to provide this information and help people out the best we can. Another bylaw amendment is being proposed by the building commissioner. He's amending a couple of the regulations and the description of temporary signs. Obviously, as time goes by, things change, new developments come out, new ways of advertising, new types of signs. So it's all in an effort to try and strike a balance between maintaining the character of the town, but also not hamstringing businesses too much, so they can make people aware of the locations of their businesses. And the last one is the relocation of the language for the registered marijuana dispensary overlay district regulation from one spot in Article 7 to a spot further in Article 7. And one last thing I want to note about town meeting, and we spoke about this off camera prior to the meeting commencing. There's going to be an article on town meeting warrant for the town to readopt the easements and land takings related to the Center Street lights as part of the Walmart project. If you recall, they were accepted by town meeting last fall. However, Mass DOT's process was slower than we anticipated, so the easements and takings weren't acted on in a timely enough manner because of that. So we're having to put the same articles back on and readopt them. In speaking to the traffic engineer, McMahon Associates, today, they said that the Mass DOT process is finished. So basically, I know Randy said town council and also the traffic engineer are just waiting for the town to accept these, and they're ready to go. He anticipates that the traffic lights will most likely be installed by the end of this calendar year, maybe even mid to late fall. So as soon as the town votes to accept it, the state can put it out to bid and start that 20 to 30 day process. And so we should start seeing some activity out there probably, I would guess, by June. We'd start seeing some initial work out there. So I know it's been a long time coming and people have been anxiously waiting, and I think that's going to be the final piece of really improving traffic circulation on 138.
Great.
Excellent, thank you, John, very much.
Nothing? Thank you, John.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you.
it very much. There's no appointments tonight. I don't believe there's any public hearings tonight. New business, the special town meeting draft warrant. You all have a copy of that draft warrant?
Yes, we do, can move to accept it as printed, unless there was any change, Randy? No changes yet?
Take under advisement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll take it under advisement, and we'll vote on this next
the
week.
next week,
Yep.
right.
Okay, so I have a motion for that?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, good. Completion of old business, board?
None.
No.
Okay. Well, the highlight of the evening, town administrator's report.
Yeah. Or a little light. Town meeting, of course, is Monday, May 18th. Pre-town meeting will be Tuesday, May 12th, and that's here in the town offices. And the warrant should be ready and mailed out to all residents by May 9th at the latest. That's a Saturday. On the budget front, we do hear that Bridgewater is asking BR for a reduction in its budget, which will have an effect on Raynham's budget. And if it's what I hear, then it would be about $200,000 less for the town of Raynham. Next Selectmen's meeting, we've got Chief Donovan and the final special town meeting warrant. We've got the town election coming up this Saturday, April 25th. Polls open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Household Hazardous Waste Day, Saturday, June 13th, from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. And the flyer should be up on the town's website under the Highway Department. And burning season is coming to a close. May 1st is the deadline. Permits from the fire department.
Good. Thank you, Randy. Selectmen's report. Joe, Marie? You good?
Just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, we had the opportunity last week to attend Henry Ellis's final meeting. We offered y'all congratulations as you were at a prior commitment, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Mrs. Smith and I were there and were able to present a plaque to him, and the planning board also presented one for his 27 years of service. So I again just want to, in this forum, thank Henry for his selfless service to the town for so many years. I think once people get into these jobs, they realize that, as you've said before, Mr. Chairman, it's a lot more than what it just appears to be. And Henry can certainly attest to that over 27 years. So I wish him and his family well.
And he was most appreciative that we stopped by and gave him that plaque.
And
I
gave
got
him a real
that feedback. Yeah, I gave him a real one.
He thought it was going to be a piece of paper.
And it was
said,
really,
"Oh, it's a real
it was
plaque."
wood and
It
wood and
was.
metal, huh?
Yeah.
That's great.
Was
Well, thank
very
you for
nice.
paying my respects, and I'm sorry I was at another meeting. I would have very much liked to have attended that. The circumstances have been different. Correspondence. I have here a correspondence from TMLP, and actually it's directed to Marie Smith, and Kenneth Goulat, the general manager, is closing here with a joint petition of Taunton Municipal Light Plant and Verizon New England Incorporated, covering the proposed relocation of 2 joint pole locations. And so I would like to suggest that we set a hearing for April 28th to review with them directly
Sounds
their
good.
motion.
I'll make that, it's a motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, thanks. Hearing the 28th, as you have indicated, from the Coalition for Responsible Retailing. And basically, the retailing group here are basically asking for additional constraints on the sale of tobacco products. For example, apply the minimum legal age of purchase for tobacco products to electronic nicotine vapor products, remove the exception for parents and legal guardians to give tobacco products to their children. So basically what the CRR is proposing here are stricter laws which complement the state laws. And what I'm suggesting is that we ask Dave Flaherty for his comment in these.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep. No problems with that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. The Apple American Group, which is, what's the name of the restaurant?
Two jerks.
No,
Appleby.
Appleby, right, Appleby. I knew there was an apple in the name.
I thought that was a trick question.
The Apple American.
So anyway, they're applying to change the local manager for their Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. And what I'm asking the board is to set a hearing for April 28th to entertain that
Change.
that change.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Before I get into correspondence, I do have here a letter to the board from Kevin Marrera, who is the program coordinator for Raynham CERT. And CERT is the Community Emergency Responsive Team. And the reason for his letter to the board is to advise us that 6 Raynham residents have graduated from the basic training course. Bill Reynolds, Gary Mack, Joanne Fay, Mary Amaral, Melissa Williams, and Wendy White. Newly trained Raynham CERT members receive training in fire suppression, light search and rescue, medical triage, basic first aid, as well as obtaining certifications in CPR and AED. I think the AED has something to do with defibrillating. These new CERT members also receive their own CERT backpack at graduation with basic equipment inside. When needed, Raynham CERT members may be activated to assist with local emergencies or assist in mutual aid during larger events within the Sachem Rock Regional Emergency Planning Zone. So this is really, I think, a very positive thing. And I want to thank Kevin Marrera for his work. I think he's done a lot of yeoman's service in this. And I know the board very much supports the Community Emergency Response Team. Any comments, board?
No, other than Kevin has done a great job in putting this together, and he works very hard on it.
And congratulations to the new members who
All the
I
new
think
members.
join at least another 5 or 6. So he's starting to really round out the
Yeah.
bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty soon we'll all be members, and there'll be no problem. Okay, 2 Tag Day notices here. One from the Relay for Life Mary's Munchkins, and the date requested is May 10th. It's a date that's available. The name of the contact person is Teresa Monroe.
Move to allow.
Second.
Okay, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And here I also have a letter from Michelle Vigliotti. I am writing on behalf of the Pro Athletics Booster Club to request permission to, for our athletes to can/fundraise in your town of Raynham, and the dates they have requested, and again, they're available, May 22nd, June 26th, July 31st, August 7th, and September 18th.
Move to allow.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good, thank you. There is no press time. Any emergency business, board?
None from me, sir.
No, I just have one housekeeping measure that Mr. Buckner had reminded me of. I would make a motion to approve and release any no longer relevant executive session minutes from time to time. We're supposed to do that.
Oh, that's right.
So,
Good, all in favor?
Second.
Yeah.
aye.
Good, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good. No citizen input, may I have a motion?
Move to adjourn, pay the bills with no business to be conducted after.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so good evening, folks, and my last comment would be to echo those of our town administrator. Get out on Saturday and vote. And that is your privilege, it's your right, and I hope you do so. Thank you and good evening.